Hi guys. This may be the last video I do for a while, a few weeks at least, but I mentioned that I wanted to explain a little bit about range sizing. Now, we talked about opening ranges before in terms of both polarization of ranges, strong and weak, and balance of ranges, which means your ratio of value bets to bluffs. But we really haven't talked any about how you size the range and how many hands you should have in it. Okay? And I should be able to cover this in one video because it's really not very complicated. Okay? I have Poker Stove here. I'm going to pick up the random distribution of cards pre-flop and show you the way this works. I don't know if this is all fitting on the screen or not. Move this over just a little bit here. I think everything's on the screen now. But anyway, suppose you had a random hand, okay, and you wanted to stack up well, see how it stacks up against another person. What you do is you look at your number of opponents that you have, and you want a hand or a range of hands that stacks up well against the best hand you're likely to be against, on average. Not the best hand, but the best range you're likely to be against. Now, if you have one opponent and he has a random hand, this is his range. He's got a 100% distribution. So this will be the average range. So any range of yours which stacks up well against this range should do fine. Even if you had the 90%, you took off only the worst hands. Okay, on average, he's going to have a range that includes all of these hands, and if you had a hand that came from the top 90% of all hands, you're already going to have an equity edge against his range. Now, what you can look at in these situations is the number of players you're likely to be against, and you can take the 100 hands and simply divide them by that number. Suppose you are in a full ring game. Now, for this whole demonstration we're doing here, we're going to assume we do not have a limping range. Okay, we're going to say that these are situations where you're either going to raise or fold. So you're under the gun in a full ring game, and there are 9 players left to act. If we go down here to the calculator, we put in 100% range, and we divide that by 9, and it comes up with 11.11%. Okay, so the range of hands, the best hand that we're likely to be against on average is about 11.1%. And there you see what it is. It's pocket 7s are better, ace 10, king queen offsuit, ace 9 suited. This is on average is the range of hands we're likely to be against. Now, average does not mean uniformly distributed. Okay, it can be scattered. It can be scattered about. There'll be a large variance in the distribution of hands. We're talking about on average. For instance, when there are 9 players remaining, and you take 100% distribution of cards, on average, those will be divided into 9 equal parts. Somebody will have a hand in the top 11%. Somebody will have a hand in the bottom 11% on average. Now, on any given hand, you might have 3 or 4 players that have hands in the top 5%. Or you might have everybody has hands in the bottom 50%. But that's not what happens on average. Okay? The best hand you're likely to be on average is the 100% distribution divided by the number of players remaining. Now, what is your task in setting up your range? You want a hand that's a range of hands that stacks up well against the hands that you're likely to be against. You don't want to have it at a disadvantage. And position also comes into play. So let's say we're in early position. If we raise and somebody else plays, we're likely to be in bad position post flop. So we really want to have a hand that has equity edge. We want to be a little bit conservative here. Okay, so in early positions, and we're talking about the first three positions or so, you don't want to necessarily have an 11% range. You might want to let's take 80% of that. If we took that and we multiplied it by 0.8, it gives us a range of something like 8.88 or 9%, something like that. So if we look at a 9% range for us, this is about what we'd be looking at for an opening range. If you wanted to be more conservative and go the 8%, it would look like this. Okay, but from early positions, this is about what your opening range should be if you're never going to limp. And you're talking about pocket 8s or better, ace 10 suited, ace king suited, down to ace jack. You may decide to be more conservative than this, or you may go with this. It depends on your skill level and who you're against. Now, when you get to middle position, okay, and we're talking about the high jack, the low jack, mid position 3, you're no longer as concerned with playing out of position. You don't have as many players to act, so you'll probably be okay if you just go on a fair 1-to-1 basis. Say, for instance, you're in the low jack. Now, this, if you're playing a 6-max game, this would be the gun. You have 5 players remaining to act. Okay, so on average, out of the remaining 5 players, the best hand that you're likely to face is about a 20% range. Okay, so we're in middle position. We don't have to be conservative. We can probably safely open our entire 20% range. And this is probably what it would look like, and probably what an opening range from the low jack, or what we're talking about is 3 off the button, you can call it that, or you can call it under the gun if you're in a 6-max game. You're talking about something like pocket 6s or better, ace 9, ace 4 suited, any 2 Broadway, any 2 suited cards, 9 or greater, and this is sort of what it will look like. So in early position, you see the best hands you're likely to be against, and you'll be a little bit conservative. In middle position, you can be pretty much on par. And then when you get into late position, you can be more aggressive. Okay? Let's say you're on the button. On the button, you have 2 players remaining to act. Okay? So the best hand on average for them is going to come out of the top 50% of the hands. It will look something like this. Now, since you're on the button and you're guaranteed that you're going to be in the best position post-flop, you can even increase this. You can make this 70, 80%, even up to 100% if you're going to add players. But you can certainly go up to 80% or so. And you probably will have an equity edge and a playing edge against the players you're likely to face. If you're in the cutoff, the best hand you're likely to face is in about the 33%. So let's see what their range would look like. We go 33.33. This is what their range is likely to look like, the best range that you're likely to be against. And what you can do is you can play a little bit stronger than this. You can go up to 35 or 40%, 38%, something like that. So from the cutoff, we can say we have a let's say we have a 36% range. Okay, this is what it would look like, something like this. And you can rearrange these hands. You might decide to go with the pocket pairs and cut out some others, and depending on your skill level, you may decide to make it bigger than this. But this is the general idea and the general way that you come up with the sizes of ranges. You look at the number of remaining players, what the best range of hands you're likely to be against on average, and you construct a size range that matches up pretty well with what you're likely to be against. So it's really not that complicated. Okay? If you're playing in a game where you have uh, a limping range, then what you're going to do is you're going to have the same size range, but you're going to polarize it. What you're going to do is you're going to have your best hands, then you're going to have another group of hands that are limpers or something like that, and then you'll have the bluff races in between. But when you don't have a limping range, it makes no sense to polarize. Okay, you might as well just go with the best group of hands. Okay, if you're going to go with 30% of the hands and you're not going to have a limping range, then there's no reason to polarize. You just go with the top 30% of the hands. Okay, anyway, that's all for right now, and I'll pick up with something else in probably a couple of weeks.